Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to be going over the Fulham game from yesterday and just a few key points to take from it. So we're going to start with a few pros and cons. Starting off, it was a game where if neither of us got a win, we both end up in the match week in the bottom three, which we now are. Now looking into the actual match itself, I think we were probably the better team for the first hour of the match. We had the bigger chances, we looked very good going forward, but sadly we couldn't convert those chances. I think Fulham looked dangerous on the counter-attack and they always had their two wingers out wide, ready to receive the balls, but luckily they couldn't put anything in the box to Mitrovic, who I think we can all say had a poor game. The only thing he actually did was give us a penalty. And I think our standout chance, we can argue, was that McBurney header in the first half. You know, he really should have scored. He's got great aerial ability and he had a free header there, but it was a great save from the keeper, and he's just a lad who's low on confidence. He needs that goal, and we just got to hope that once he gets his first goal, there'll be plenty more to come, which I can imagine there will be. He's a great player for us. We've got to remember he's still young. He was our joint top goal scorer last year. However, goals are a massive premium at the moment, and we really need someone to step up and score, because if we don't, we're going down. It's simple as that. We're not got a great defensive record like we did last year. We're scoring less goals than last year as well. So if someone doesn't score for us, it's going to be a very hard and long season. So I think Brewster's probably going to be someone that will be scoring for us, but it's not enough. We need someone else as well. I think Sharp raised a good point. In his post-match interview, he said that if we'd taken our chances in the first half, it could have been 2, even 3-0, which is very true. I think we had loads of chances and we were the better team, and that's the problem. When you're on top, you need to take your chances, because if you don't, games like this happen. If we didn't take those chances like we didn't, we deserve to lose, and we almost did. We were just very lucky that Mitrovic gave us a penalty, because we looked down and out after the last 20 minutes. I think we had no energy left, which is fair enough because we put so much into it, but that's why you need to take your chances, because then you're so knackered that you've got nothing left to give if you need to carry on and push for another goal. I think this is the game where it's what you make of it. You can see it in a bad perspective that we were playing the team that's bottom of the league and we were second bottom, so you could argue if we don't beat Fulham, who are we going to beat this season? We have plenty of chances, and if we can't convert them against Fulham, who can we convert them against? Especially when you take into consideration our next 3 fixtures, which is Liverpool away, Man City home and Chelsea away. But it's just the Premier League. You play the same 38 games that everyone else does, obviously in a different order, but we're going to have to play teams at some point, so at least we've now got a point on board. It gives us a little bit more confidence. However, it's also less panic in the team now. Like I've just mentioned, we've got a point on board finally, so we've actually got a point rather than 0, which we've had for the last 4 games. I think also it's a game we actually really could have lost. You know, if you look at the key events in the game, first we gave away a penalty which was deserved. Mitrovic missed it. We were lucky with that. I think the thing I was disappointed the most about the game was that, like I mentioned, we should have won it, and you could argue that things hadn't gone our way, but once the penalty was missed, it should have given us a boost, and we really should have gone on in the other end and scored. I was really disappointed by that. I really thought that after that penalty miss, it was enough motivation for us to go down the other end and score. It wasn't. They then scored. Slightly lucky in terms of the way the ball fell to Lookman, but nothing taken away from the finish. Incredible finish, and was definitely the man of the match. He was such a hard player to deal with. Then after the goal, our heads dropped a bit. We went forward, but we had no clear-cut chance. We were just lucky that VAR went away this time, and we were just lucky that Mitrovic was sloppy enough to give away a poor penalty from a just mistimed clearance. And luckily Sharp was there to convert. Interesting statistic, he got the first goal in our season last year and our first point. He's got our first home goal this season and our first point. And I think there's plenty more as well, where I think he got our first home goal in the 2017-2018 season, got our first away goal in 2018-19, and our first point and home goal in the 2016-17 season as well. I think after we scored the actual penalty as well, Fulham dominated the match. Yes, there was only 10 minutes left after that, but
fucking shitting myself.
We're going to concede again here. Mitch had 2 chances of added time, which he just thought after each one, and that's the last chance of the game, but there was another one afterwards. Yeah, we were very lucky, I think, in the end. We easily could have lost that, and I think it's worrying in some sense, because you think, like I mentioned, if we can't beat Fulham, who can we beat? But I think Fulham were really motivated for this game, that, you know, they knew that if they, like us, if they can't beat us, who are they going to beat? And there's been loads of criticism in the press about them, obviously, you know, coming back up and then going straight back down again. So I think obviously they had a lot to prove. They look a decent team. They don't look as bad as they are in terms of the table. I think like us as well, in fairness. But, you know, that's the problem with the Premier League. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's just about being the 4th worst team in avoiding relegation, in a sense. I'm maybe clutching at straws here, but you could argue we had a very poor game in front of goal, and the fact we still got a draw is a positive to take from it. You know, the football we played was very good. I think a lot of people had very good games for us, especially midfield. I think Norwood's proved that he's going to have to be playing more this season because his experience in the team, you know, when they missed that penalty, it wasn't a celebration. He straight away said, lads, let's focus focused, let's move on with the game, because you can't get too carried away with that stuff. And sadly, maybe we did because we conceded 10 minutes later. But he looked very good on the ball, very classy in midfield, and made a lot of good passes. Berg as well, he looks more comfortable in that role game after game. You know, he hasn't used his strength enough this season. I think, again, yesterday he didn't. It was frustrating. He's such a big player. I've mentioned he's 6'5". He needs to use his strength more often because he could barge people out of the way like an American footballer. It's that simple if he used his strength enough. But he is a powerhouse. He's looking more useful every game. I think we need to play him against Liverpool. Lundstram as well, played very well. Not as well as Norwood and Berg in my opinion, but still had a decent match. I'd be tempted to have that midfield against Liverpool as well. I mean, there's not much we can really do with it because Fleck's injured as well, but possibly Osborne could replace one of the three players. But if it was, I'd hate to see him replace either Norwood or Berg because they looked our better players out of the three. The defence didn't have a great game. I think Egan was the best performer out of the whole defence. It was sad to see Lowe go off in the 20th minute. Obviously got a concussion injury within the second minute of the game. Gutted for the lad because, you know, to be his Premier League debut, you don't want to go off that early, but the fact his concussion means he's probably not going to be out for the next match, and hopefully he can play in that. I was so happy to see we went with Stevens as a centre back and we went with Egan and Basham alongside him and Lowe as a left wing back because it showed the right intention. It showed that things need to be changed because obviously after 4 games you can't continue what you're doing because it's not working clearly, and I think that's the sort of thing we need to be looking at for the Liverpool game. I'm not saying we can get anything out of it. A draw is possible, especially Van Dijk out, but in a team like that, especially defensively, I think we've got a much bigger chance than going what we've had the recent games. Brewster obviously didn't start the game against Fulham. I think it is understandable though, you know, he's only just joined for the club. In a game like this, we kind of want to stick with what we know. We know what the combination of McBurney and McGoldrick's like. They were pretty decent pairing last year. I think McGoldrick, like I said, he's kind of starting to get found out a bit now at this level. People know he likes to drop deep, receive the ball, start our attacks, and the problem is the more games we play with him, the more he gets found out, the less sort of outlet we have, because as long as they mark him, they know there's not really much attacking play we can do. So as much as I love McGoldrick, maybe we need to start looking at other striker combinations, and I think McBurney and Brewster's a good one to start with in my opinion. Both young, hungry players, which is why I'd like to see them both start against Liverpool. Let me know in the comments if you think we should have won that game, if we should have lost it, or if it was a fair result. It would have been great to see us win. If we took our chances, obviously to say we would have won it, but I think on the day a draw was a fair result. Now we move on to Liverpool, probably one of the harder games we could get. The only positive is Van Dijk isn't playing, arguably their biggest player in their team, so we just got to take advantage of that while they're vulnerable, and yeah, hopefully we can get something out of the game. Anyway, always positives, move on to the next game, up the Blades. Till next time guys, take it easy.